there's a photograph in your book of a severely wounded American soldier being loaded into a Black Hawk helicopter. Your caption tells us his name, Rudd Cronkite, and explains that he died in the hospital later the same day. How do you view the ethics of publishing a photograph like this?
I think it's really important that we continue to photograph those types of things and publish those things. I mean, this is the reality of war. This is what war means. I mean, whether we control oil, whether we make money, whether we spend $1 billion a week, I mean, war is death. Photographers and reporters are being controlled by the Pentagon to stop photographing things like that. I mean, they're taking the death and destruction out of war. You know, I mean, so we're left with like a school opening or some good news story, as I like to say. I mean, Rudd was dying that day. He was completely naked on a stretcher. His head was bandaged up, and you know, yeah, he died later on in Baghdad in a hospital. I took his picture, I published it, and I would do the same thing again. It must be incredibly difficult for the family, but you know, I hope that in time they will understand that. And in fact, by chance, just a few weeks ago, I met his family in Arlington National Cemetery. I mean, I was really, really shocked. Because I think, I mean, it's not something I would shy away from, but it's something you want to kind of prepare for. But, you know, I introduced myself and introduced themselves to the Cronkites, and I said, you know, I want to apologize. I'm really sorry for the emotional trauma that seeing this photograph of your son must have caused. Except, you know, I really felt it was important. And you know, I turned to his father and I said, "You must want to throttle me," and he didn't say a word. I mean, he was visibly, I mean, furious. I left them. You know, we chatted for a while, and you know, his mother kept saying it was really, really hard seeing the picture, and every time she would close her eyes for the next few weeks, it was just that image, you know, of him in the stretcher going onto the helicopter. But about an hour later, I went back and I spoke to them, you know, some more, and his father told me that in fact you know, he's not angry that I took the picture, and he's happy. I mean, he's not happy, but he's appreciative of the fact that I did, because he said, if any policymaker sees that image and feels a fraction of what he felt when he saw it, then this war will stop.
Well, you obviously didn't feel that the military's rules about embedding were too restrictive for you, but those rules have recently changed, haven't they? The rules for photographers.
Yeah, dramatically. I up from 2003 through until the end of 2006, I believe, you are allowed to photograph and publish wounded and dead American soldiers. But you just have to abide by the rules, which is you wait until the family has been informed, and then the pictures can be published, which is, I mean, completely understandable, and we've always respected that. But they changed the rules so that now, in order to photograph or report on any wound, any casualty, you need to get prior written approval from soldiers. I don't think you need to have been in a war zone to guess that soldiers are pretty superstitious. And you probably don't need to have been in a war zone to imagine what it would be like standing in front of 150 men before they go out on a mission and asking them to sign a release form that said it's okay to photograph them if they're wounded.
Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I mean, this war is being completely gentrified.
What would you say is the future of photojournalism in the Iraq War?
It's becoming harder and harder by the day to accurately cover the war. It's easy to go there and hang out in chow halls and photograph soldiers eating, or even people out on patrol, but the story has changed. I mean, Iraq is in the grips of a civil war today, and we nor the Iraqi press have really got access to that. There are no embed programs with the Sunni insurgency or the death squads. I mean, and everybody who's involved in the civil war is trying to hide what they're doing, because they're all somehow related to either other governments or, you know, the Baghdad government. I mean, there's a lot to hide there, and that does not lend itself to photography at all. We can still embed with American troops, and that will give us some window into what's happening on the streets, except, I mean, the story really is, you know, Shiite on Sunni violence, and the only access that we have to that is corpses on the street. We don't get to see the fights, we don't get to see the executions unless Al-Qaeda releases a video on the internet. I mean, the future of photography, and reporting for that matter, is bleak at best. I mean, even the Iraqis who go out and do, I mean, the most brave and dangerous work are getting killed, whether it's by Iraqis or by Americans. I mean, or imprisoned. I mean, it's just so phenomenally dangerous. It's completely off the charts. And that's impeding on the reporting, on the quality of reporting coming from Iraq. I mean, I think it's very, very hard to have an idea, and particularly a visual idea, of what's taking place there.